I may have a few too many helmets. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about my very strange head and when it comes to helmets fitting. Now, I have had an absolute nightmare trying to find a helmet that fits. And over my 6 years now of riding, I have gone through many helmets trying to make them fit. And I'm hopefully going to save you a lot of money on this video and tell you about my journey. This is just my head. Your head is obviously going to be a different shape. It's going to fit differently in helmets, but hopefully there's something from my experiences that will help you if you're not one of those lucky SOBs that can just go out, grab a helmet, shove it on, and it fits. So first thing is, I have a round head. Didn't know that. I thought intermediate oval, you know, when you see videos online, especially like Revzilla, you know, like they always say intermediate oval is the common head. No, I've got a round head. Now that limits the amount of helmets in theory that should fit me. However, it didn't, because people were saying to me, you know, experts in the bike shop, you've got a round head, so you should steer towards Arai, which actually does feel really comfortable, or Bell, which doesn't. Every time I put Bell helmet on, not very comfortable at all. I think the problem with my head is I might have a reverse Brainiac. I think, you know, rather than my head going out like that, like Brainiac, I think it sort of goes in, so I've got like maybe a pin head. The other thing is long hair. And I'm in between sizes, so that is a big deal as well. So what I found is measuring my head going around here, I am 56.5, between 56 and 57. Now, centimeters that is. Usually helmets will be 57 to 58 and 55 to 56 on the smaller. So there's no 56 to 57, but there is. X-lite. Took me a while to find this, but if you look, there are helmets that are in between sizes, just not very many. And to be fair, that was pretty much the only one that I found. The other thing that you can do is obviously you can take a medium will be 57 to 58. So you can take a medium and you can make it a little bit smaller, or you can take a small and you can reduce the padding to make it a little bit bigger. The experts will tell you it is easier to get a bigger shell and make it smaller than it is to get a smaller shell and make it bigger. So what was happening to me was I was going out and buying medium helmets. Medium helmets would fit me absolutely fine. They were 57 to 58, so I'm 56, 57, but 57s were okay. And after about 6 months to a year, the padding inside starts to what's called break. It breaks in. So it hasn't got the spring in it that it used to have. And that meant that the helmet no longer fitted me. Well, didn't fit me correctly. Now, here's another thing. When I went with smaller helmets then to make me, to fit my head better, I would then get pressure points, hot spots. And they varied. So sometimes I would have a helmet on and after an hour, a hot spot would come along. Now, hot spots is basically pressure in one part of your head. It's fine for a little bit. After a while, it just becomes agony. I'll tell you what, I've never been so angry and just annoyed. And of course, you can't just take your helmet off and ride home without your helmet on. So, you know, you're an hour away, your head is pounding. It's dangerous. You know, I would rather have a helmet that is too large than a helmet that is too small. Now, people will say, well, yeah, but too small, it will fit you better and it won't have that rotation. Yeah, but the annoyance of that pounding on my head would actually cause me to crash more than, you know, having a helmet that might be a little bit too loose. I mean, obviously you got to make your judgment call on this, but to show you what I mean by that, if I take my Arai, this is an Arai Debut medium, you can see how quickly it will just go over my head. And the reason it goes on so quickly is because, you know, the padding's broken. So you can see it's pushing my cheeks and, you know, it's pulling my face, but you can see, look, that is moving too much. But in a crash, it's not going to go all the way around. It's still going to protect me, and it's not giving me the hot spots that I was feeling on the smaller shell. Now in Arai's they have cutouts in the ears for Senas, and I'll get to that in a moment. But to make sure a helmet fits, you put it on, you make sure it grips your cheeks, and that you don't have this. See now, it's broken and it's sliding down here and banging my chin, and it can move up and it can move too much side to side. It's not meant to do that. Push from behind, and if you can get a finger very loosely in there, that's not good, pinching up here on the top. So this doesn't fit me, and the reason being is the padding has broken. However, if I go get new padding in here, it will fit me again. And that was the problem I had. I kept going out, I kept getting medium helmets. They fit me. A year later, they don't fit me. So, you know, rather than buying the pattern, I'll go buy a new helmet. And that's how I wound up with so many helmets, which I have now sold. Until I found this xlite 803 carbon hop lap. Lovely helmet. And this is in between the two sizes. I will do a full review on this helmet later in the channel. So if you're interested in that, click subscribe because it helps, and click the bell notification so then you will know when you've got new videos. So on this helmet here, you can see putting it on is going to be a little bit more tight. And once it's on, I can't pull it any further than this, and up and down is again tighter. Pushing here, very struggle to get the finger inside, and again it's just a much tighter fit the way it should be really. And of course I'm moving it, I'm getting a lot more movement because I haven't done up the strap, but you get the point. Now with these helmets, because I am in between the size, this is where millimeters made a lot of difference. Now, I ride with a Sena, so Sena 30K. Again, I will do a review on this and mesh. Go mesh, don't go standard Bluetooth, but we'll get to that in another video. So basically, I ride with a balaclava or a head tube or what have you. Again, if you've got long hair, I've got a video on how to handle that in a helmet. But a balaclava will add a couple of mil. Sena speakers, again, about 5 mil. If you get the narrow speakers, that will save you a little bit more. So all of these things, millimeters, soon add to centimeters, and that's what gives you a helmet that fits and then doesn't fit. So what I found is, because I'm so tight in the helmet, I had to get rid of the speakers for the Sena, and I found these things called plug phones. And these are really good. They're only 10 quid off Amazon. But basically, just earplugs go in your ear, but they act as earplugs, so they're really dampening on the sound. As a matter of fact, a little bit too dampening. And then you've got a speaker jack that goes into the outside here on your Sena, and that's how you get your Sena straight into your ear. Now, the really good thing about this is what I found with Sena speakers, I had the normal speakers, then I went to the slims, is above 70 miles an hour, I couldn't really hear what the guys were saying to me over comms, whereas these, because they're direct in your ear, you know, over 100 miles an hour, you're going to hear crystal clear as if you're doing 30 miles an hour. So they make life a lot easier. Obviously, they take up no space in your helmet because they're in your ear. So you've got no issue of, like, you know, the speaker rubbing over your ear and pulling it down or anything like that. The only negative with them is they're too good of a earplug. Basically, they drown out everything. The alternative to these are to get custom molds, and with custom molds you get that fully for your ear, but you still can request the speaker, and that goes into the Sena, and then you've got comms without taking up where the speakers are, and speakers are pushing and taking up too much room. Then the other thing is the headband. I mean, headbands, if you've got long hair and then you get it cut, you're talking millimeters here. It's not a lot, but it does make a difference. So if you are going to try on helmets and you do normally ride with a headband or a balaclava, then do go take one to try it on. The other thing I noticed with my head, I think because it's a P head, or maybe I haven't got the distance up here, it was actually Chris, the chap in the cap at Moto Legends. He told me this when I went down to their shop in Guildford, really nice shop. He said that MotoGP riders, what they do is they actually put a sponge on their on their heads to hold the helmet in place, because obviously you're in this position here looking up and the helmet wants to come down and it doesn't fully fit. Now that is why this helmet fits so well. Now, this helmet is the only one I found aside from Arai. And again, when I do the review, you'll see, but basically inside here, you've got a pad and you can pull out from here and adjust it. So basically, if you think about it, you've got a sponge in here and it goes all the way around here. You can keep ratcheting it back to the position that you want. It's in effect a sponge, just pad in here, and it just sits on top of your head and puts it in the right place. Now, I actually went out with this and, I brought it home. I moved this pad into the position I thought was the most comfortable, and then I'll go out riding. One time I went riding and it was about 3 hours in and I started to get a hot spot and I thought, oh man, here we go again, another helmet that I'm gonna have to bite the dust with. But I pulled it back 1 notch, this was while out, and the hotspot dissipated and went, and I haven't had it since. So literally just moving that position 1 made all the difference. And again, when I was trying stuff on at Motor Legends, I had a helmet on and I was like, oh, that's pinching a bit here. And Chris was like, no, just move it. It's not sitting right. Literally moved it a couple of millimeters and then it sat perfectly. And what I was told, and to show you on here, when you put your helmet on, what you want to see is 2 fingers between your eyebrow and your forehead, and that is the correct position to have your helmet sitting. A lot of people will have their helmets like this, and of course their nose is right over here and it's right on their eyebrows. That's not the correct position, and that is going to create hot spots, whereas really you want it about here, and you can see my nose and everything is in where it all should be. So it could be that, you just wear your helmet like this, or you're wearing it like that, and you just need to adjust it to here, and then all your hot spots go away and it sits comfortably. So the key is try on all sorts of helmets. I then went up to Moto Central in Leicester, and they have a massive range out on show. And basically I just picked up all the helmets, was trying them all on with the guy there. And he was like, this helmet should fit, trying it on. It's like, nah, that's not fitting. And it was actually the Shark Carbon GT, loved it. It was the medium, put on the medium, fitted absolutely lovely. It was comfortable, it was everything, but the guy was like, no, it don't fit you. I'm like, oh, but it feels comfortable. It feels like it's hugging the right places. Push here, got the gap under here. He's like, no, don't fit you. I was like, well, I'm not gonna spend 300 plus quid on a helmet that's gonna last me 6 months. Tried on the small, way too tight, couldn't even get my head into it. Now, this is the thing. All of these shops, the big shops around, will say to you, yeah, we've got all the paddings and the linings for all the helmets. What I found is they didn't have the patterns for the Sharks, they didn't have the patterns for the Scorpions, but they do have the patterns for Arai and Shoei. So basically, if you're in the market for an Arai helmet or a Shoei helmet, yes, they've got the paddings for them. More for the Shoei than the Arai. So I think the markup basically is a lot harder, a lot higher on Shoei than it is on Arai, because as soon as you go in and say, look, I got a problem with my head, it doesn't fit, they're going to say straight away, yeah, let's go Shoei GT Air 2, and it's a lovely lid. I just don't like Shoei's, put them on, they feel cheap, the lining, everyone's going to blow up in the comments, be like, no, Shoei's the best, it's the most comfortable, what have you, and it probably is for you, but for me, nah, didn't feel nice at all. Whereas Arai, on the other hand, love the linings in here. Even on the debut, it's just silky, soft. It's lovely. Actually, probably better, I would say, than the X803 Hot Lap. But this is, not far off. And if you are in the market for a Shoei or an Arai, and you live local to Milton Keynes at Sports Bike Shop, Sue, she is the helmet expert down there, and she used to work for Shoei. So, I've heard her in the shop when I've been in there buying multiple clothes that I don't need, sizing people up, and yeah, she really knows her stuff. And that's another thing. When you go into the shop, say, look, I've had this problem, who is your expert? Get the expert and then say to them, right, do you want to do this now, or do you want me to come back another day? And what I did when I went down to Motor Central, I said, look, when's your quiet day? And it was a case of, come down on a Thursday afternoon after 2 o'clock, shop's always dead. Then I got a good hour, and you need to prepare yourself for that kind of time to try on just all the helmets, see what fits, what doesn't fit. It is going to be tiring, it is going to be hot, you are going to be annoyed by the end of it, but at sort of £300 plus a lid, over the years, you are going to be spending thousands on something that doesn't fit. So just take the day off work, invest in the time with an expert and try everything on. But even though they're an expert, they can't feel what you're feeling, and you might not explain it well enough. So just if they say, oh, you need to have a bell, and you've tried on 3 bells and they pinch and it doesn't work, be like, nah, get rid of that. I want to now be looking at HJC, Arai, what have you. It may be as well that you fit a £500 helmet or you fit a £60 helmet. I've got a pillion helmet in my garage. It was, God, I can't even remember. It's not a nitro or something, but it was something along those lines, like a real cheap ass £100 got me through my test helmet. Plasticky, cheap, rubbish, cost me like £100, but it fits. But I'm a snob, so I don't wear it, and I wind up spending hundreds of pounds trying to find something else that fits. But if you can not be a snob, then go with the £50 helmet. And you may turn around and go, yeah, but it's a £50 helmet, it's ECE, and it's not an Arai, which is full race spec and all that. If it's got an ECE marking on it, it is sound, go for it. DOT is the American standard, and it's pretty useless. And then there is one above ECE, but at the end of the day, if you've got ECE, you're going to be absolutely fine. To summarize, what you need to do is you need to first admit that you've got a funny shaped head and helmets aren't fitting you correctly. You then need to go find a shop with lots of helmets that you can just try on. Find the expert in that shop and find a time where you can go for about an hour one-to-one with this person. They will obviously love it, because when you're spending that amount of time with them, they're guaranteed the sale. So go ask, go find that, go then try all the helmets on. Go with everything that you normally ride with. So if you ride with a balaclava, bring the balaclava. If you ride with comms, take the comms out of your helmet, bring it with you to find out what it is. Or like I say, maybe, switch out the speakers for some in-ear solution. When you got the helmet on and you think you found the right one, then sit in the shop for a good 20 minutes. Make sure it's right, that you're not developing a hotspot. If you're not getting it after 20 minutes, that's pretty safe. But do ask the shop, look, if I don't ride on this, can I bring it back? I actually did this with Moto Legends, and I bought the helmet, it fitted fine, came home, I sat in it, watching television, and after about 40 minutes, I then started developing the hotspot, had to take the helmet back. So agree with them beforehand, but say with them, look, I've got this problem, I'm going to be wearing the lining, and looking after this lid, but do sit in it at home for as long as you can, 2 hours preferably. If you can get past the 2 hour mark and you're not developing hotspots, then it's pretty safe that the helmet's right. Do always have the expert check that the helmet fits, because the amount of times I'll put a helmet on and be like, it's comfortable, it's nice. And what I found was the helmets that were comfortable didn't fit, and the helmets that fitted were uncomfortable. And it took me a very long time to find this lid, which is absolutely perfect. As always, I hope that was useful for you guys. If you've got a funny shaped head, there's some tips in there to help you out. And subscribe to the channel, and there'll be some more content coming soon. Thank you for watching.